Oh, breaking news.
In game real time, it's hard to make that bang bang call 100%. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Sliders, your weekly dive into all things baseball. What a wild ride this trade deadline was. This week, we're unpacking all the chaos, the surprise moves, the head scratchers, and the blockbuster deals. Who went all in and who completely dropped the ball? Stick around as we break down our biggest winners and losers from this week's trade deadline. I'm Almar, and I'm always joined by my co-host Armando. Let's talk baseball.
Let's talk baseball. Omar, I'm, I was glad it's Friday today because I was able to breathe after 4 days of insane baseball trades. I couldn't breathe. Yeah, it was a lot to unpack and keep track of. Like, who's a lot of rumors, and if it's a reliable source, but it's good. It's Friday. We can breathe now. But let's go around the bases with this week's news.
Around the bases.
Omar, this week, both two All Stars and Aaron Judge from the Yankees with the hip flexor strain, and Ronald Acuna Jr. You don't want to hear this once again. Injury with the 10 days IL list with the calf injury strain, grade one strain. Omar, what do you think about this two injuries, and what does this say about their teams, where they're at right now in the season?
Look, injuries happen. Every team deals with them at some point. But let's start with Ronald Acuna Jr. and this right cup strain, like you said, Armando. Now, I know it's grade one, but let's not downplay it. That's still serious, especially when you're dealing with a calf. It's directly tied to your Achilles. If the Braves push him or if Acuna tries to play through it, this could quickly go from a strain to a season ending career altering tear.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Atlanta isn't playing for much right now besides pride. So if I'm the Braves, I will shut him down, protect your franchise player. Long term health has to come first. And now let's talk about the Yankees. Yeah, they're still getting wins without Aaron Judge, but let's not act like that's sustainable because he's the anchor of the lineup. Without him, pitchers can walk around the guys, shorten their approach, and take more risks. Judge changes everything when he's in the box. So that flexor strain is that's tricky. Hopefully it heals clean because if the Yankees lose him for an extended stretch or worse, have to shut him down through the season, I don't see them making a serious World Series run here. He's that important to these Yankees. What about you, Armando? What's your take on these injuries?
For me, you don't want to see this happening this late into the season, right? There's no more time to recover, right? You miss 2 to 3 weeks. That's closer to the end of the season. You come back stiff and right into the playoffs. So this is the bad time to have an injury, but it's part of the game, like you said. Um, I have no doubt that the Yankees will be fine. They have a there is already talks about when he returns, he's going to be hit. He's going to come to the DH. Uh, that helps because because they're getting Stanton back from the injury, and he's going to be start. He's going to be starting to play in the outfield, so they have outfield help coming. So having in the DH, just batting, same thing like Otani last year, right? He wasn't playing; he was just a full time DH, and that was good for him to recover. But so that's what I think about the Yankees. I'm not too concerned about that injury, but I do want to think that Ronald Acuna Jr. This just blows. This is since 2018. He has only played 2 seasons, more than 100 games. He has ACL tours on both of his knees. Um, Yeah, and it's just this is not good news. So they're Atlanta's saying it's like, oh, good thing it's not knee related or ACL related, it's Achilles, but that's still a serious injury, like you said. When he came back early in the summer, I'm not even sure if you saw him, but he was covered in protection, like pretty much they're bubble wrapping him. But he it's just the way he plays. He plays hard. He tweaked his calf because he once again he was scoring from first to home, right? So and he did that 2 weeks ago against the Giants. He did the same thing, like in one single, he can score from first. So that's just he plays hard, and at this point, he might be thinking like maybe he should consider changing his game. In
But
my
but if you're
opinion,
yeah, but if you're the Braves and Acuna said, "Oh, I want to play," what do you do then? Because that calf injury happened when Acuna was like insisting that he wants to play through it, and
right?
I know athletes would be athlete that they want to
hmm
compete, but at some point you have to like stop it, right?
Yeah, I no, I agree with you. They have to think for the long term of his, not just his playing career, but also his life, right? The life after baseball. So they have to think this long. They have to think this through, uh, and they have to do what's best for him. Like even if he is, his players always want to play, right? They don't want to be sitting on the bench, but they have to think about what's best for him.
Yeah, and like I said, they're not even playing for the playoffs. I'm not sure like what do you need to do to like stop him from playing. And I get the competitiveness. We were once athlete to Armando, but yeah, at some point, like you said, Acuna have to think like longer with his
Yeah,
health on this one.
but I think like we'll see how. Yeah, there's 50 games left on the season, right? So you definitely have to consider. I don't like the idea, but I think you make a good point. I think you have to consider very hard if shutting down for the rest of the season.
14 and a half games out. Like they're that far from the wild card. That's the wild card. So like
Yeah,
come on, you got I know you still want to play, but for what, right?
yeah, exactly. For pride, I guess. But yeah, I think they need to his family, his advisors, the team needs to sit him down and say, look, you have to think about past this year, right? So maybe just but I'll see what when he comes back after the 14-day DL. Let's see how he is. Maybe he's completely fine. Maybe he's not. But if it extends more than 14 days, then yes, definitely consider shut him down,
But this
right?
but this calf strain is not a one off with the athletes. We've
No,
seen this with
no,
Kevin
exactly.
Durant. We have seen this with Ty Halliburton this year. He came back
Yeah,
from calf strain and he
yeah,
tore
you're
his
right. It's
Achilles. Yeah.
but I'm also too. I'm also glad it's not. It was not to the knee to the ACL because that's just athletes are just not the same after that, right? So, but we'll see what happens after his the 14 days. So we'll see. But I agree with you. I think you make a good case. So it's like at this point, what are you playing for? You have to protect your star player for next season, right? Like it's not just it's setting up for the future, which for next season, right? It's not just giving a you're waving a white flag on this season, but you're thinking about the next two seasons to come to being healthy and be able to contend.
Yeah, and hopefully, like we're not laughing at the injuries. Hopefully, Acuna Jr. and Aaron Judge comes back healthy because we need them. These are all stars, like you said, but these injuries they have to take it seriously.
Right. Well, let's talk about another all-star, 27-year-old um, um, Emmanuel Clays from the Cleveland Guardians, former three-time All-Star, two-time winner of Mariano Rivera Award, and third-place winner AL Cy Young Award last year. He was placed on a non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st. He this isn't related to Luis Ortiz, teammate of him. Also, he was also placed on this. Um, Back in July 3rd, and he's also extended his pass extended to August 31st. This is related to gambling when they're pitching. What is your latest thoughts on this? This is the second pitcher from the um, Cleveland's Guardians to go on this list, or to be
Armando,
to be related to gambling.
Armando, a few weeks back, you asked me if Luis Ortiz gambling issue with the Guardians was just one off, and I told you then, no, it's not. Well, here we are. Fast forward, and now Emmanuel Clase, their closer, has been suspended by the team because he's reportedly under league investigation for gambling on his own games. Look, the reality is betting is everywhere now. It's accessible. It's on your phone. It's part of every broadcast now. So you you can't ignore it. But this crosses a serious line now, Armando. The
Yeah,
league has to step up and tighten up the rules fast, because now we're not just talking about bad decisions, we're talking about the integrity of the game being on the line. And once fans start questioning if the outcomes of the games are legit, that's a dangerous
yeah,
place
that is
for
true.
any
Yeah.
sports to be, Armando.
No, you make a good point right there. Yeah, if because betting is part of the entertainment package, right? Fans want to be. They go on their apps and they see, oh, one close game, one run game, like, and they see the betting line. They're gonna eat. They're gonna bet, right? But if they're suspicious that that is actually um, tamper, like you're saying, like they're not, well, fans or casinos, they're not going to be wanting to take that gambling then, right? Which is a downfall for the sport, right? So this this actually, back when Luis Ortiz, I was kind of like, well, it really doesn't bother me, right? Like I'm not invested, right? But this I am invested because I've been big on Emmanuel Clase for the last 2 seasons. I talk about I love my relievers. I love my closers. I talked about
He's your
him.
boy. He's your boy.
Yeah, he's my boy, right? And this actually kind of saddens me, right? We see the dark cloud over players, right? Either PED or gambling, like P Rose, this dark cloud or this all stars, baseball legends, and it just never leaves them. And to me, he's only 27 years old. He's still young. He has a long career still, and he might have this over his career, right? This is just an investigation. He was placed on this. They haven't. He hasn't pleaded guilty or found him guilty of this, right? So he's just under investigation. But this is not a good sign for him. And it makes me
Yeah,
wonder because he. It makes me wonder now because he was actually. I was surprised that he was on the trading block, right? But since then they had to pull back. But I wonder if Cleveland knew about this. Maybe they just wanted to dump him off before this black cloud appeared on them.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions, especially with the pitchers. They can hold the game, right? Especially closers. Like
Right.
if he's betting on who's winning the game, he can actually like throw games away. So this raises
Right.
a
Well,
huge cloud.
that's a good. You make a good point there. Is he throwing games away? Because last year he had a .61 ERA. That's why he was having a. He was in the discussions in the AL Cy Young Award. But this year his ERA is at 3.223. So it doesn't look good.
Yeah, and plus he's like when you're looking at his pitches, he was like missing badly, like upstairs. Like his pitches were everywhere. So
Right.
yeah, it's just it's under investigation right now, and but you everyone's thinking of, yeah, he might be just throwing games out.
Yeah. So not a good
Yeah, it's
not
sad
a
for
good
it's
look.
sad for baseball.
Yeah, definitely. And it's some you might argue betting gambling is part of baseball, but yeah, like you said, they have to tighten this up. Like betting's everywhere now, right? It's very accessible to us. Um, yeah, so they need to tighten their 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 rules here. All right, well, let's go to the last topic of the around the bases. This was a late addition to it. Yankees announced this morning that they have released right-handed pitcher Marcus Stroman. Give me your first thoughts on this release.
I loved Strosho when he was with the Blue Jays Armando back in 2015 when he came back in the playoffs after tearing his ACL early in the year. He has heart. There's no doubt about it. But his head got bigger than his heart, and his attitude was mainly the issue. That's why he was bouncing from the Mets, the Cubs, the Yankees. When you don't have the pitching staff and you have that attitude reputation, it will be hard for him to get a new home. Armando, this is sad. I love Strosho, but yeah, it might be the end of his playing career. Hopefully, he finds a home. But yeah, that's the issue with Strowman. He has like some attitude problem. That's what I'm hearing all around.
Right. The Yankees are saying this is just more mainly with saving salary. Of course, that's what they're saying, right? So this comes after he signs a 2-year deal for 37 million guaranteed, right? So he's still remaining 18 million. So they're releasing and they're actually kind of saving that, but they're saving that because on his contract was the fully guaranteed was going to be triggered if he pitched 140 innings. He only has 39 innings this season, so they're safe. They're saving money. But I think the biggest thing, he was just a man left out of this rotation, right? Gil is coming back. Luis Gil, I was really big on him. He's making his season debut against the Marlins this weekend. Um, but it just, but when you look at his number, he's 2-3 this season in 9 starts. His ERA is above 6.0, right? So it's above that. Actually, it's a 6.23 ERA on the season. That's just not really good for anybody. And so, especially for a starting pitcher, and 39 innings pitch and 9 starts, that's just not really good. So, to me, it makes sense why. But I do agree with you. At one point, he was in the talks. If he can put it together, because he has flashes. If he can put it together, he is going to be a dominant pitcher for years to come. And he's just like you said, his ego got too big for him, and he was just kind of like always a part of a trade deal.
Yeah, he was already in the bubble here coming into the season with the Yankees with the
That is
rotations that
true.
they
Yeah,
yeah, just because of the injuries to the pitching staff, Stroman got to pitch in the rotation. But then again, like you said, if it's above six right now, you can't
yeah,
play that. You can't play him right now, especially when you're in the thick of the playoff
yeah,
race.
exactly. So no, this is just a business decision. But you know what, manager Aaron Boone said he took it like a pro, and he was positive, and they can see themselves being friends for years to come, right? So there's no animosity. But I think you're right with all the pitching additions that they made with Max Fried and Gill and Will Gorin and Rook and Cam. It just makes sense, right? So you can't put them in there with that kind of with that high of a ERA.
Yeah, and yeah, if the stuff is not there, I'm not sure if he can land with a contender right now. Maybe,
No, this is
maybe,
way
yeah,
too
no,
late. Maybe like yeah, I think for him he should just probably get some take the rest of the season off and work on those mechanics, right? So or whatever he's dealing with, right? So to
yeah,
get
but
back
but
in the
yeah,
league.
like with the ego thing when he was coming in the bubble for the Yankees this season, he was asked if he wants to like go in the bullpen, and he was reluctant to do that. Like you said,
Mm,
you have to adjust to what you have right now. If you don't have that stuff to be in the starting rotation, you got to learn how to adjust, right?
That is true, and that's a mark of a true professional, right? So if he's not willing, first of all, there's a lot of Hall of Fame players that they were able to. They were like John Smoltz. He was a closer for a long time. So if he can do it, Hall of Fame. If he can do it, pretty sure Stroman can do it as well. So at this point, he just doesn't want to be a pitcher if he's not willing to go to the pen, right?
Yeah, which is sad because back in the
Yeah,
Blue Jays, he was like that guy for the Blue Jays, and yeah, I'm sad
yeah.
for him, but yeah, it's just
No,
it's
like
just
it is sad because I for the Giants there was always negotiations about Stroman, right? Like when he was with the Cubs, the Giants would try to make a deal with the Cubs, and I think with the Mets too. Like they were trying to get him. So for 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 whatever reason they couldn't make the trade, but yeah, it is sad because he showed a lot of potential, and he was a dark horse, man. He ate up innings.
yeah, for his
So
size. Yeah, I can commend him for being that dominant for a long time. But yeah, the stuff is not here. The stuff is not there this year. This is just sad.
yeah, yeah. So that is it for Around the Bases. If you like this content, please subscribe and follow. It will help our channel grow. Well, Omar, let's get right into it. Let's break down the trade deadline.
Let's talk trade.
All right. I'll go first. We'll just have a rapid fire here, then we'll have
Yeah,
our winners and losers for this trade deadline. So I'll do the American League here, and then Armando will do the National League. We'll have the notable names and the contenders actually with this rapid fire. So Yankees got closers David Bednar and Camilo Doval. Red Sox got starting pitchers Steven Matz and Dustin May. So Blue Jays got relief pitchers Sir Tony Dominguez and Luis Varland, and then got starting pitcher Shane Bieber. Astros got Carlos Correa back, and then they traded for Ramon Urias and Jesus Sanchez. The Mariners got Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez, and those are for the notable names and teams for the American League.
yeah. For the National League, I'll start with the Padres. San Diego Padres. They added Mason Miller, Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, J.P. Sears, and Nestor Cortez. The Mets' notable additions are Ryan Haley from the St. Louis Cardinals, Cedric Mullins from the Baltimore Orioles, Tyler Rogers from the Giants, and Gregory Soto. And the Phillies added their additions are Johan Duran from the Twins and Harrison Bader from the Twins as well. Yeah, those are the top three teams. Also, the Reds also added some additions like Karen Haynes, Zach Little, and Miguel Adubar. Also, the cuts were some additions: Will Castro and Taylor Rogers from the Twins as well, and Andrew um, Kittredge. Anyway, those are the notables additions for the National League. Omar, give me your thoughts on this trade deadline and your winner.
All right. All throughout the week, we were like texting back and forth, and like I'm sorry with this one because there was a fake news with Adolis Garcia getting traded to the Mets, and I jumped on it. And it was a mistake. It was a
Yeah.
mistake. And the gentleman who who announced it, he said he was hacked. So,
Oh,
but
that's
yeah,
so funny.
I I said I was sorry. I jumped the gun there when I was announcing that trade. I'm sorry to the New York Mets and the Texas Rangers. That was on us. But yeah, for my winners, Armando, all right, the trade deadline winner, I'm rolling with the New York Mets. And listen, I said this in our earlier episodes. Come playoff time, the game shortens. It's all about bullpen depth. You're not relying on starters to go 7 or 8 innings
Yep.
anymore. It becomes a 6 inning game, maybe less than that when it comes to the playoffs, and there's a battle of the arms out of the pen. Now we all saw the market. Quality starting pitchers just weren't available. All the asking price was sky high. So what do the Mets do? They play it smart. They load up on bullpen arms to bridge the gap to Edwin Diaz, one of the best closers in the game when he's on. And that's not all. Like you mentioned, they also went out and addressed another big need, which is center field,
Yep.
getting Cedric Mullins. That's a huge pickup. He gives them range in the outfield,
Huge. Huge.
speed on the base paths, and a lefty bat with some pop. That's a move that helps now and in October. So yeah, maybe they didn't make the loudest splash, but they got what they needed. And when October hits, these are the kinds of moves that win games, Armando.
Yeah, for me, has to be one of the best, more entertainment trade deadlines in a long time. You normally don't see this in baseball, right? You see this more like in football or basketball, right? Like you see more trades like this, but man, this was entertainment to see. Like a lot of teams were going for it, a lot of teams, and it was exciting. Don't get me wrong, it was very exciting. Uh,
It was exciting and scary at some point.
I I honestly thought that I was just waiting, hitting refresh on my phone because I really thought that the Giants were gonna trade the whole team away. So I was gonna. So, anyways, for man, it's hard to pick one winner, right? But I think everybody's in today's baseball. This is the blueprint. It is relievers, pitchers. It's not starting pitchers no more. Like you mentioned it in recent history, the teams that have won the World Series, like the Dodgers, Houston, um, even the Tampa Bay going to making the like those World Series runs, right? So they all had the same thing in common. It was the bullpen. It is starting pitchers get us good quality starts, get us five innings, and we'll take it from there. No longer is a closer coming in, saving the game in the ninth inning. It is you save those game in the fifth, sixth inning now. So Padres, Mets, Phillies, they're all winners to me. If I have to pick one, it has to be the Mets. Why? Because they added five closers to the rotations. They already don't have the best starting rotation, but now they can just like get us 4 5 innings starting pitchers, and we'll take it from there. And but also that's I want to say that, but also I have to acknowledge that the Padres, their GM, just give them an award, whatever best, give them an award for the best GM for the next 10 years, Jeff Pollock, because he just keeps making these trades. Like he is able to trade for Soto, right? Like and um, and Manny, like so many different Dylan Cease, right? He's now Miller, Mason Miller, another boy, my boy. The Padres already have the third best ERA in the league. They have the number one save with 36 saves as a team combined, and now they add arguably one of the best closest to the league in Mason Miller, a hard throwing. So to me, those are the winners. But let's not forget the Phillies. They added arguably one of the best closers this season, and uh, and Duran. Like I think to me, like the National League, they follow the blueprint, and they need by signing relievers and closers. So that's all my winners. But if I had to pick one, is the Mets.
Yeah, we can count. count off what AJ Preller
Yeah,
with the thank you prospects.
yeah. It's like
He just didn't care about them. But yeah, moving all in when you have a chance is what we want. We want that GM. We want that GM.
exactly.
But yeah, Felix
And it was
with the
we joke that they traded, f those prospects, right? But he traded their number one prospect according to the rankings and for Major League Baseball rankings, right? The number one prospect shortstop, he traded away. And that was the return, the pack. That was the package to get it, Miller. So he gave up a lot, but yeah, it's good for him.
yeah, but AJ Preller doesn't even care. He traded for Soto and the three guys that he traded for. They're stars now in in
Exactly.
Washington. So
Yeah. Good stars. So, like it's not even
yeah,
just Abraham. Like it's holy cow, man. Yeah. So they give him an award, give him a Nobel Prize at this point.
if they win the World Series, he has to be the general manager of the century.
Yeah. But let me say one more thing about this of relievers, right? Because back in the day when we were younger, even like it's always been starting pitchers, right? So Zach Greinke, he was always traded in the trade deadline going somewhere new, right? Um, So that's always been the case, but now it's relievers, right? Last year, the Dodgers who won the World Series, in that playoff runs and World Series run, their starters average just above three innings a game, and then they turn it over like to the bullpen. So the today's baseball, in order to win, you have to have that bullpen
Yeah,
deep.
I think it started back in 2015, 2016. Don't quote
Yes.
me on it.
No, it's
When
like when
that
the Houston, right? Like they were paying their relievers top money, and that was like no one paid relievers that much.
when Kansas City Royals won the World Series, they had like seven, eight, nine inning guys. So like you said, just give us like five, 6 innings, and the bullpen will take over, and they did. So I think that's the blueprint now.
Yeah,
You have to have like a deep bullpen, not just deep bullpen, like a swing and miss stuff from your pitchers.
yeah. Even the Yankees, like yes, they added closers. Like they were targeting closers, right? With the wall and the Pirates closer, former Pirates closer. Like now they're not going to be the closest for the Yankees, but they have the seventh and eighth innings guys already. Those are your innings. Go shut it down, right? So anyways, but yeah, that's a. So anyways, we talk about the winners. Give me your losers.
All right, it's hard. It's hard for us to tell anyone or their fan
Yeah,
bases
yeah.
that their team are losers. But for my trade deadline loser, I've got to go with the Detroit Tigers here, Armando. Look, the moves they made just not enough. This team needed a bat, a real thumper in the middle of that lineup, and they came up empty. And I don't get it. Why half-ass it if your team is actually this good this year? You've got one of the best starting rotations in American League, maybe in all of baseball, Armando, but you can't expect those arms to throw shutouts every night. So you need to score runs. You need to give those pitchers some support. This was the golden opportunity to go all in and really make a push, and they sat on their hands. The Detroit fan base deserves better. The clubhouse deserves better. So yeah, for me, Detroit dropped the ball big time at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I've been hearing that today. A lot of people are saying that the team that I agree with you. We shouldn't be saying losers, right? Or sellers or buyers, right? Every GM, every team, they want to improve their teams, and sometimes it's by letting go of some players or adding players, right? So it's it's making your team better, right? So the word loser is not really it's not really implied here, right? I've been hearing that today about the Detroit Tigers that they didn't do anything. But to me, I see it from the different perspective. I see it from like sometimes the best trades that you don't make is that you make is the ones that you don't make. Like I talked about last week, right? To me, sometimes you add a new player, it changes the chemistry of the clubhouse, the team. Like so, to me, like they have the best team. There's a reason why they're the best team in baseball, or one of the best all seasons, right? They have really good starting rotation and good team all around team. So to me, I'm glad they didn't interrupt their chemistry.
Yeah, I just
Anyways,
don't.
at least that's the way I see it.
I just I like I heard that with the Blue Jays before the trade deadline too. Like we don't want to disrupt that chemistry. I was like, come on, these are big league players. They if they
Yeah,
if
that is
they
true.
if they were sour that their friend got traded, the main goal here, Armando, is win the World Series.
Yeah,
Not
good point.
having
Yeah.
friends. You can have your friends and not win. So so what's now, right?
Hey, you make a good point, right? So, but it's also like it's that I just think like that chemistry starts in the spring training, right? Like they're in together most of the time, right, for 7 months. So to me, that's the way I see it. But we'll see what October comes if they're. Um, you can tell me in October if they don't make it to the World Series. Like told you so, they should add or something.
No, no, no. We're just basically this winners and losers.
Yeah,
We're just dissecting what each what some teams did or did not do in the trade deadline. We're not talking about, oh, would this matter come October, November? Yes, maybe some teams will catch fire and they win the World Series. Teams will go down with injuries. Things can
yeah,
happen between now and the playoffs actually. But yeah, for me, that's why I picked the Tigers.
yeah.
Is just they didn't do enough. They did do enough basically.
Right.
Look, watch what the Mariners did. They needed two corner bats, and they acquired
Yeah,
Naylor and they acquired Eugenio Suarez. That's how you do it. You get what your team needs. But like you said, if you're like, okay, we don't want to chase the chemistry, that's fine and dandy. But for me, I was like, AJ Preller, come in here. F the
right.
prospects.
No, you make a good point, right? You make a good argument. Um, but you touch on the Mariners for the last. But this is the team who didn't want it. They didn't want to interrupt the chemistry, but they've been falling short the last couple of years, either not making the World Series or being on the wild card game and losing because they needed offense and they didn't address it. But this year, they're also a winner, right? Like we're not covering every team, but the Mariners also addressed their corner infield, and those two corner infields are big bats, right? Like we're talking about, they both have 30 plus home runs, so they are winners as well, right? Because they address their needs, So we'll see. For my for my loser team of this, it's going to be. I want to see the Dodgers because there's another team who didn't do anything at the trade deadline when they're leaking oil. They're leaking oil, right? The Padres are 3 games back from the division, right? Like and the Padres are hot right now. They just beat the Mets, the red hot Mets. They beat them, right? So the Padres, I mean, the Dodgers are a loser to me, but the number one loser to me is the Minnesota Twins. They put a new they there's not they were not sellers, man. That was a cliff dive sell. They traded 10 players away. Like what talk about their fan base. They just said, we can't wait to start to next season. Let's bring 2026 season because this season is over for us. And what does they even said to their fan base, right? So that was a rapid sale. That was a dumpster fire. And to me, those were good players that they traded away. They could have just not done anything content for next season. But they say we're rebuilding for years to come. So to me, the Minnesota Twins are the losers.
Yeah, I totally agree with the Twins there. Especially with Johan Duran, he's
Yeah.
controllable arm,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's a controllable arm. And like you said, if AJ Preller and the San Diego Padres say, bye bye prospects," this is the opposite now with the Twins. They said
Yeah,
bye
exactly.
bye major leaguers.
Let's bring our double A players and triple A players over here. Like this is your future, Twins fan. Get used to it. No, to me that was just like, yeah, especially when you go after a star player like Correa and literally you 3 years later you after giving him a new contract, this is last year, you literally traded him away, right? So
And
to
they're
me,
eating and they're eating a chunk of the contract too.
exactly, a lot of like they just a lot of teams just like, yeah, like everybody was trading with the Twins, and to me that's just not good, right? So
Yeah,
uh,
and it's sad because last week I heard this on the networks when Broxton was interviewed and he was like, I wanted to stay here, this is my home, and now you see everyone gone. And then
he's the only one left.
I know, and when the new pitcher who's this from the Twins who got traded to the Blue Jays. He was interviewed today, and he said he was blindsided actually because
Mm,
he was from Minnesota, and
yeah,
he wanted to stay there, and he was blindsided. And this is what the sad thing about trade deadline is. Like, yeah, you can get blindsided, you can say goodbye to your friends, and like move your family from city to city, maybe out of the city to a new country, right? So, but yeah, the Minnesota Twins just like gutted everything, which is sad.
yeah, it is sad, and I can't wait to hear what was the reasons because they just kind of, it just says they, you just, they didn't even wave their white flag for this season. They just kind of, they just quit, like literally. So the
Yeah,
organization, they just quit. It was like, no, we're done with this season. And so
yeah. When Luis Varland, yeah, that's the player, that's the pitcher with 100 who's throwing 100 miles per hour fastball that
yeah,
Blue Jays got traded. When he was interviewed today, he was like sad because that's his hometown. It's
yeah,
tough. This is the toughest part of the business here, getting traded. But like you said, yeah, the Twins, I don't know what they did. They just gutted everything there, which for me, it's I don't know where to go from here. If you're a Minnesota Twins fans, I feel sorry for you.
yeah. Well, my my support goes out to the Twin fans out there because I'm not used to it.
Hey,
I,
yeah,
I'm not
but
used to it as a Giants man. Like we don't do we don't do rapid sales, or we didn't throw, Giants don't throw the rebuild word right in the hallways here. So to see this, it's kind of like, oh man, that's
yeah, yeah,
yeah, that,
they have a new stadium, and oh my goodness.
yeah. It's, anyways, so that is it. But what? Give me more, some other winners. I want to hear more. Well, give me your, the Jays added a big one. The Beaver. Like, give me your thoughts or other winners that you might think.
I'll touch base on the Blue Jays later on our
Okay.
when we go to our Blue Jays and Giants update. But the losers, like you said, we did touch base on the Dodgers. They didn't do anything about what is lacking, which is the bullpen. I think I think AJ Preller from the San Diego Padres sensed that that the Dodgers will make a move, and that's what you do when you're up against your division rival. You block them from getting the prime closers like the Mason Millers. You just outbid them so that they can get them, and they did just that. But again, I don't know what the Dodgers is doing. The bullpen is horrendous, like we mentioned that week after week, and they needed that, and they traded one of their starting pitchers, which I was like,
Yeah.
why?
They traded their only healthy pitcher.
So yeah, I didn't get what they were
Do you
doing
do
this
you
trade
think
deadline.
is do you think it's more like teams were blocking them because in the last 7, 10 years, the Dodgers were always the team making trades, always retooling at the trade deadline, changing their team around. Right? They knew it. They knew which holes there were they needed, and they made those. And they addressed those. So do you think is maybe they just run out of prospects to trade, or other teams were just outbidding them?
The other teams were just more aggressive than the Dodgers, especially with the relief pitchers here. You mentioned the San Diego Padres, the New York Mets, the Philadelphia Phillies. Those are the teams that the Dodgers have to beat. Well, on the flip side, those teams have to beat the Dodgers, right? And
Right.
they just did their bullpen attrition, and they won the trade deadline again. Armando, it's a trade deadline. You can win the trade
Yeah.
deadline on paper, and but you still need to play the game, right?
Right. Chemistry. Chemistry.
Hey, I would hire AJ Prella to be my general manager.
Exactly. Anyways, no, I agree with you. But do you think maybe teams are just more because the Dodgers have fleeced so many teams over the last years? Maybe they're like, we don't want to trade with the Dodgers no more. It's, you think
I
that
can
the
see
just
that
kind of teams are just tired?
I can
Because
see
I
that,
was thinking today,
Armando.
like it was kind of like I was like thinking like this is not like the Dodgers to do anything. So I just kind of wondering like, do they? This was just going through my mind all day. Like, do they not have the prospects they once had, or they got outbid, or maybe they just GMs, agents are just tired dealing with the Dodgers, right? So you do get tired of the same team winning, right? So
Yeah, maybe you make a great point there, Armando. Maybe other teams were just squeezing the Dodgers really hard, and that's what you need to do anyway, because you don't want them to be this dominant. And every other free agents is walking in there, be like, okay, I'm signing there. It's just like frustrating for every other fan base, and yeah, it. You make a great point there. I love what you're thinking. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's part of the equation there, that other teams are like squeezing them hard and be like,
exactly,
get me a lot of prospects that you if
exactly,
you want my player, right? So yeah.
exactly. And so, well, that's great. Thank you for answering that. Well, let's get into our Giants and Blue Jays updates.
Giants, Blue Jays.
I'll start here with the Giants. It is there's a lot of emotions going through the Giants. I said that they were last week. I said how they do against the Mets and the Pirates are going to it's going to determine whether they go from the trade deadline. And Omar, they lost. They got swept by the Mets, and then they got swept by the Pirates. And I don't want to say that the Giants were sellers. It was mostly like a soft sell. They the old regime, and it's since Buster Prosa came in and did what other people were not willing to do, and that is get rid of players. let go of players. Let me say that their time with the Giants had come up, and he did that. He knew where the weakness was, and he addressed that. So in one season, Posey has been able to trade for star players, sign star players, and strengthen the minors and let go of players that they were veterans, right? So this team overnight, and once in this his first year season as the GM baseball as the baseball operations, this team got younger and there's more talent now. So as much as that is hard because he had to, and how bad it is, fans are not happy because they have to say goodbye to a lot of fan favorite players, and you get attached to these players, right? You see them, you see them coming in, come go through the minor league system, being called up, right? So you build this emotional emotions with these players, like Duvall, Tyler Rogers. Um, Tyler Rogers was drafted by the Giants in 2012. He was not a top prospect, but he worked through his minors. He made his pro debut in 2018 with the Giants, and now he's in his last year of his contract, right? So they traded him for Mets paid for a lot for players for 2 month rental, right? So and also Duvall was All Star last season, right? So he was a premier. He had 40 plus saves last season, right? Electric, and they had to. And they now he got traded away, right? And now Mike Yaskinski, he got traded as well, and he made arguably probably the best catch of the season, and he got traded. I'm not sure if you saw the highlight where he drove into the net and made a catch, but then he less than
I
24
I,
hours
saw,
he got traded.
I saw that highlight when he jumped to the net, but you Armando, you can take it back. He just launched a home run against the Blue Jays today, so you Giants can take him back. Come on, man.
You know, he has not homer in the last 92 at bats. 92 at bats, he has not homer, and his first at bat with the Rose, he homers. So
Against the
no,
Blue Jays, against the Blue Jays, take
so
him back.
no. But think about Buster Posey. He had to let go of his former teammates, Mike, Jazz, right? Duvall. He had to Tyler Rogers, and he had to DFA early in the season. He had to um, Lamont Wade, right? So he came in. This is all his friends, and he had to let him go. So that's a bad. Fans are sad that we say goodbye to players, but that's that's his buddies, right? So like how it's more sad for him, right? So, but anyways, they made some good trades. They got some good prospects from the Mets. Two top 10 players from the Mets organizations. Um, One outfielder, once again, Mike Jazz. He was a great defensive player, but he's bad. He's batting 202 in the season, right? At one point in the beginning of the season, he was batting under 200, so it was just not cutting it out, right? So he addressed the outfield. Was supposed to address the outfield. For Duvall, not top prospects, but the um, the Giants scouts and Buster Posey are really high on the catcher that they got from the Yankees. Obviously, Posey is a catcher, so he went up, but he's a great offensive bat. So, which something they need. They don't have really a backup catcher. So, we're talking about the players that they got. Either they're in the AAA system or they already made um, appearances in the big leagues already with their team. So they got 9 players back for 3 players. So I think that's a really pretty good. Um, this is a soft. They kept a lot of the pitchers. Robert Ray. We talked about he was on the trade market, but Buster Poster said we are only if we get blown away we'll trade him. But
The
teams did call for Ray, but not
yeah,
enough to make him trade.
yeah, like we mentioned already, the market for starting pitchers weren't there, or
Yeah,
like you said, you have to blow the teams away with your offers if you want the starting pitchers. Hey,
right.
Justin Verlander wasn't even traded, so my question is, i- is it time for Buster Posey towards the end of the season if things stay this way with your Giants to let go of Bum Melvin? I know they extended him for another season, but is this a failure for the management? Because I think some of the fundamentals isn't there when I'm watching your Giants. Like Heliot Ramos got picked off on an infield fly rule.
Yeah,
How can you be that I'm not saying the word, but how can you get thrown off on an infield flyer rule? So it's some of the plays that your players are making are basic fundamental mistakes. So
no, you're right.
where do you go from here?
This
Where do you go from here?
bro, this it's been awful. The last time they Giants have lost for the first time since 1892. 1892. That's how much the Giants have to go back. The last time that they lost 6 straight games at home. We got swept by the Giants from the Mets and the Pirates. Since they made the Rafael trade, um, since that trade went through, the Giants have the worst record in baseball, 12 and 24. Well, 13 and 24 now, because they won today. Um, and they have the worst record in baseball in the last 6 to 8 weeks, and that have the worst offense in that stretch. The Pirates have a better um, offense than the Giants in the last 2 months. 2 months ago, we talked about 2 months ago, the Giants were tied for first in the division, and this was a straight downhill. And no one has the answers. Bob Melvin does not have the answers. Buster Posey does not have the answers. And you can see on the captains like Willie Adames, Chapman, Logan Webb, they're kind of like they're getting tired of being asked the same questions like what's going on, what's wrong with the team. Like no one knows, and they're getting you can see that in their faces. We do not know. If we knew, we would have fixed this by now. But this is in the first 2 months of the season. They were finding ways to game. They were playing good defense. Um, good defense, no mistakes. In the last 2 months, they're finding ways to lose. And some of the worst mistakes, just mental errors, bad judgment on running the bases, not reading the the ball on defense. So talk about this is some of the worst baseball. And yes, Bob Marvel was extended, but it doesn't guarantee that he can come back. We see managers get fired all the time, even if they have a full guaranteed contract, right? So it doesn't guarantee if this continues to get worse, it doesn't guarantee that Bob Marvin is going to go back, come back, right? So this was it. This has been bad the last 2 months, but the last 2 weeks, knowing that the team had to turn it around, so they had to play right? So to be contenders at the trade deadline, and they just did not live up to the potential.
Yeah, the reason why I asked about Bob Melvin is I saw this news. Well, it's not news. It's just a chatter
Yeah,
that Bochy is contract is due this
yeah,
year with
I
the
saw that
Texas
too.
Rangers,
Yeah,
and they might reunite with Buster Posey in San Francisco, right?
does
It's just
Bochy want to
speculation,
come
but it
back
can
though?
happen. What's
Does
that?
Bochy want to come back though? Right,
True.
he's 72, 73 years old. Does he want to come back? Bochy always loves a new challenge, right? That's why he goes right. Like San Diego Padres when are winners, he turns that franchise around. He goes to the Giants after a couple of Wolves years, turns it around. He goes to the Rangers, turns it around, right? So does he want to go somewhere that he had success, right? So, and he's 70 something years old already. Like it's kind of like he's 72, I believe, 73. So like, does he want to continue, right? So,
Well,
but
you have the people, you have the
yeah.
players. Like
Well,
if you want to win, you can win
and
with this current Giants team.
but Buster Posey and the organization, they've been trying to encourage the team for the last 2 months, and they just haven't. They they all the chatter with Bell Melvin, like like they give him a contract extension. Like it's you don't have to worry about your skipper. He's fine. Just contend. We get you Rafael Devers and uh, off of production, go and win, and they just haven't. They haven't answered the call, the challenge. Not supposed to say it's go time. Let's time to win. Let's go, and they haven't. So it's something mental because obviously that's showing up in the field because they're making a lot of mental errors, and it's been brutal watching the games. It's been brutal. I I did not bother with Monday night against the Pirates or Tuesday. I was like, I do not want to watch this game. But well, I was looking up on the score and I was like, man, low scoring games. So like, holy cow, against the Pirates. And then I did watch the game on. It was an afternoon game on Wednesday, but I was like, I was just watching that game. I was like, holy cow, man, this team is awful. But anyways, that was the kind of like the breakdown. So we got younger. Our minor league system got a lot better with a lot more prospects. Something that the old regime couldn't do. We traded some expiring contracts, right? So classic veterans like my assist Jazz. He was 7 seasons with the Giants, right? And Camilo also came through. The ball came through our minor league system, right? So Tyler Rogers, who was not a top prospect, prove everybody wrong. If you work hard and practice and put your head in the ground and work hard, you can make the big leagues. And he did, right, with this 85 miles per hour fastball, right? So you can make it to the big leagues, right? So I was pretty sad to see those players, but I also get it. It's a business, and this team. Not only that we hold some of the key players, and we're setting both supposedly set up for next season. That's pretty much what this trade deadline is. It's setting up for next season, and while still contending, anything can happen. Let's if you want to hear my positive outlook on this, the Detroit Tigers were sellers last year and made it to the American League Championship. So they're not completely out, but today was a good step in the right direction because there was a good bounce back win, a good statement um, win saying like we can still contend. They have the tools, they have the players, they still have the bullpen. This team got younger. That's what it is. Tyler Rogers was 30 something years old. As much as he was beloved by the fans, Jazz, he's 32 years old. This team just got younger. They're calling up the AAA players. So when you do that, you're inviting young players. And let's be honest, they, something had to be done because this has been really bad the last 2 months. And I can't remember. Maybe you can tell me, Omar, when is the last time a team has collapsed like this badly in recent history? I can't think of any other team. This has to be in Giants history. This has to be the worst collapse in Giants history.
Yeah, I can't think back on what team really collapsed hard this bad. I'm not saying it's a collapse because it's been a brutal 2 months for your team, and we mentioned this 1 month, 2 months, a week or two can. can flip your
Yeah,
seasons
change that.
around, and we still have too much of baseball to
Exactly,
play.
right? So
We still have too much to play baseball to play, so I'm not losing hope, and glad that Buster Posey did do the Minnesota Twins way.
yeah,
So
I was afraid of that. I was expecting like to see just like let's trade all of our bullpen, right? So like, but no, they just made some right moves, right? As much as that is hard, right? But yeah, this was hard. This is like, yeah, we mentioned like 1 month and 2 months can change everything around. And the fact is, the Giants are only seven games back. It's not unrealistic. They right, they still have a fighting chance, and while while still contending for next season, right? So we'll see. But anyways, that's kind of like the breakdown in the last week.
thank you for that update, Armando. And yeah, it's not what we envisioned for the Giants. Like you said, they were up there with the Dodgers a few months ago in the standings, and now they just cratered in. But hopefully, this win today can jumpstart your Giants, and we can see them fighting for a playoff spot here. And yeah, thanks for that update, Armando. We'll go for your Blue Jays update. It's time. It's time for your Blue Jays weekly update. And oh boy, what a roller coaster it's been, Armando. The Jays are probably just relieved to be out of Baltimore after getting absolutely thumped in that 4 game series. After a strong showing in Detroit, where they took 3 out of 4 and claimed the best record in baseball, they turned around and looked like a different team. The pitching gave up bombs left and right, and the bats they just vanished. Just brutal. Still, they salvaged the road trip at 5-5, and now get to reset at home against the Royals, which did not start well, losing 9-3 today. We hope we see a bounce back tomorrow and Sunday before the Jays head out to hitter-friendly Colorado. A couple quick injury notes. Dalton Varsho is back with the team now. Good news for that outfield defense, but Anthony Santander is still nowhere close to swinging a bat. That signing is trending toward a big time bust, Armando.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, George Springer went to the concussion IL after
Oh.
getting hit in the head this week in Baltimore. Catcher Alejandro Kirk is going to have a rehab stayed in Buffalo after getting hit by a foul tip on the face mask. So hopefully, the Jays get George Springer and Alejandro Kirk, because the Jays are sorely missing them in the lineup and on defense. So now let's talk. Let's talk trade deadline, because you wanted to hear my opinion on this one. We got some wild stuff to unpack here. The Jays made a rare in-series trade with the Orioles, picking up reliever Sir Anthony Dominguez, and he literally walked across the field from one dugout to the other during the doubleheader. Legendary move there, Amado.
Yeah, I love it. they, they were making his team, the Baltimore's were making fun of him as he was walking into the Jays dugout.
Yeah, he was walking in the outfield, and the his former teammates were like,
Yeah,
"What are you doing?"
it's like it's only the third inning. What are you doing? That was
but
awesome.
so far so good. In 2 innings of work, Dominguez has 4 strikeouts. We love to see that. And at the deadline, Armando, the Jays grabbed former Cy Young and Gold Glover Shane Beaver from the Guardians. Yeah, it's a gamble with him still rehabbing from Tommy John, but if he looks like vintage Bieber by August, Bieber, just a quick note on this. Bieber threw a bullpen session in Toronto today, and the plan is to get him to throw in Buffalo this Sunday to stretch him out, maybe 75 pitches, and see how it goes. And this is a game changer if he comes back healthy this season, to help out the Jays, um, to clinch this AL East. And they added, like I mentioned, flamethrower Luis Varland from the Twins, and a depth move with Ty France. as well with your Minnesota Twins, Armando. So those are the trade deadline haul for your Blue Jays. I know it's not flashy and it's definitely not all in, but it feels a few keyholes. I'm staging with the grades here, Armando, so I'll say it. Blue Jays get a solid C minus for myself. Not sexy, but maybe just not enough to stay in the fight here. The Bieber, I like the Bieber trade and Luis Varland here. But again, if you want to go all in, you go all in, not just halfway. But Atkins was asked today. They were willing to go all in, but it just didn't materialize. But that's just tough if you want to stay in contention with that AL East. They're only 3.5 games above the New York Yankees and the red hot Red Sox. So I was hoping for more, but I was mentioning this on X during the trade deadline. We as a Blue Jays fans, we were spoiled back in 2015 because in the 2015 we got David Price and Troy Tulowitzki. So and more. So that's why when you're looking at this trade deadline, we'll be like, oh come on, what is this? But they the Blue Jays made the trade that they needed to do, and to do just that. It's good for the Blue Jays, but for me, like I said, I'm stingy. C minus for me.
I thanks for your opinion, right? So I wanted to hear. I think for the Beaver perspective, from a starting rotation, I think they're winners. I love this move by the Blue Jays. They got a starting rotation. Hopefully, like yes, hopefully he can come back for this season help. But they're setting themselves up for years to come. So I love this. I think they're winners. Yes, it's not the big names that they went after, but they got that help. Like sometimes you might just need them that. That relief pitcher that just to face one batter, and that's all you need, and that's worth it. It's not sexy, but when you can plug and pull, like plug and plug in, a certain situation comes out in October. I think to me, the Toronto Blue Jays were winners at this trade deadline,
Yeah,
and
I'm not
I'm
calling them.
excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it.
I'm not calling them losers, but yeah, they got swing and miss stuff with Dominguez and Varlan now, so that's good stuff for and like the Shade Bieber stuff. Um, we everyone's mentioning he was the only starting pitcher that was moved, like a quality starting pitcher that
Exactly.
was moved
Yeah,
yesterday.
I
So
love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So and he's a former Cy Young. If he can be at least 80% of that former Cy Young, I think it's a big win for the Blue Jays down the stretch.
I love it. I'm excited for it. Um, yes, there was other starting pitchers out there, right? Like the Rangers made some big moves. They also because the Diamondbacks were also sellers, right? Which I don't get, but they did. They got uh, Kelly from the Diamondbacks, so they that was a couple months ago. So a couple weeks ago, I said that they should be going after the starting rotation from the Diamondbacks, but so I'm glad this happened, right? But it's so crazy. And talk about like I never seen interdivision trades. That's how crazy this, or even just within the American League or National League. There's like, oh, we're gonna trade this player, but we don't want to see him, so we're gonna trade him to the National League, right? So the fact that the Yankees and Rays were making trades, Baltimore and the Jays are making trades. That's how wild this trade deadline was.
Yeah, especially with Sir Anthony Dominguez when he was traded on the second doubleheader, he struck out two of their batters.
Yeah, exactly. So that's so crazy. It's a doubleheader. That's awesome. But anyways, I think that the Jays were winners at this trade deadline. So
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. There, like we mentioned this Armando last week and the previous weeks, that when you can push to win, keep winning, so that you can stretch that gap, you make it. Because when you're like this with the Blue Jays now, with this rut that they're in, because they were like 6.5 games last week. They were 6.5 games ahead of the New York Yankees. Now it's only 3.5. That's why we mentioned,
Yeah,
if you can keep winning, just keep winning. Push that pedal to the metal, because when you have this kind of slump, you'll see how fast this season can go. Right.
yeah,
Like
that is
we
true.
we've
So
seen we've seen this with the Dodgers, and we've seen this with your Giants, right? So yeah, you just can't just relax and be like, oh yeah, we
no,
got this in the bag.
no, exactly right. So especially like the Dodgers, like yeah, like, they're leaking oil and they didn't make anything, right? So at least the Jays did something, right, to help improve their team, right? Like I said, like GM teams are just it's not the fact that they're sellers or buyers, they're just improving their team, right? So whatever that looks like.
Yeah, everyone in the Blue Jays, all the Blue Jays fans were sweating towards the buzzer beater in the deadline, because they were news that Joe Ryan from your Minnesota Twins was getting traded to the Red Sox. We were like, no, 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 and we're glad that it
When
was
you
fake
sent me that
news.
screenshot, I was like, no way. Like, I was like, when you said it's fake news, I was like, oh, I was gonna lose it if they trade.
Holy crap! What a blunder! What a
Yeah,
blunder! That it was a major blunder from one of the biggest network to post
yeah,
that, and I was like,
yeah,
oh crap! That was a major blunder. Well, there were major blunders
yeah.
like what
So
we did with that Adolis Garcia.
yeah, it's like, hey, but at least the Twins made the right decision to keep Lopez, right? So that's, that's
I, I, Pablo, we can talk about
Pablo Lopez.
next year. Pablo Lopez.
That's awesome. So, but that is it. Like, we have covered the All Star, also review the trade deadline. It's been a busy last month for us here. So,
Yeah, it's
I'm
been it's been a crazy few months, and it was crazy. It was a crazy trade deadline like we haven't seen before. That's a wrap for this week. But don't go too far. Next week's episode, we will have your weekly around the bases and your Giants and Blue Jays updates. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with us. We'll see you next week on Saturday Sliders.
see ya.